Hello everyone, welcome back. We're looking at the three-game football slate that we have for today, starting at 1 o'clock. So let's get into it. Not too much time to waste. I will be. I already posted the basketball video. I'll post that right after this one. I'll post both at the same time, so you can watch that one too if you want. But if you're looking for football advice, then you've come to the right place. Three games starting at 1 o'clock. Let's do it. As always, appreciate you guys hit the like button on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Starting off here at quarterback, you have Kyler Murray as a lone quarterback above 7K. He's 75. It's against San Francisco, who's no longer playing for anything. So their defense has kind of been suspect the past few weeks. Overall, they've been decent this year, but they've given up some points in yardage the last 2 weeks. So I think Murray looks solid coming off of that huge performance against the Eagles. He's expensive though, so if you wanted to go cheaper, you can look to Tom Brady, save $700 against Detroit. Stafford is just super banged up, but he looks like he's still going to tough it out and go. I just can't play him if he's like that banged up. I don't see him all season. He hasn't been a GPP. He hasn't put up like GPP winning scores except for like one time he's been over 30, and that was exactly at 30. He's been in the teens for the majority of the season, so I just can't play him at 56 with all that injury stuff that he's dealing with. Tua looks solid at 54. Or you can go to Derek Carr, who I think is only 50, who's just super cheap at 5,100. He left the game with an injury last week early. He was okay before he left, 3 of 5, 60 or 53 yards. Marcus Mariota came in and looked really, really good, but they couldn't close it out because their defense just couldn't stop the Chargers. But I think Carr, before last week, before he got hurt, he was coming off two of his better performances all season, 28 and 35. He had a rushing touchdown in each one. He's been solid this season, and I think that you can definitely play him. 51 against Miami should be somewhat high scoring. The Raiders, they just put up a lot of points, and their defense gives up a lot of points. So their games tend to be pretty high scoring. So I definitely think Derek Carr is worthy of a consideration at that price tag. He's probably my second favorite quarterback overall, but might be my first based on the point per dollar play. Running backs, you have a lot of options here. You have Jacobs at 66. Then you have Swift. Swift, I'm not that interested in at 64, just with how good Tampa is. He's gonna have to get it done maybe with the like catching passes because I don't see him having success running against that team. You have Salvin Ahmed at 56, but Gaskin is back, so I'd rather go to Gaskin at 53. They've been giving Gaskin a full workload whenever he's played, but Ahmed has looked really good, so they might give him some work. But I still think you can expect 20 touches for Gaskin here. 53 against one of the worst run defenses in football. He looks solid. He catches passes, and they could be missing like a few of their big weapons again with Parker and Gesicki still questionable. So you could see Gaskin line up like as a back out of the backfield and just catch a lot of passes here if they're missing those two again. You have Fournette, who was somewhat popular last week. He got it done because he fell into the end zone twice with two 1 yard touchdown runs. But before that, he wasn't doing anything really that like shocking. He had like under 4 yards per carry. Didn't really do anything in the receiving game. Had 3 catches, 16 yards. So I think he looks solid. But if he's going to be super popular, then there are some other guys right in that similar range that you can just pivot to. Like you have Kenyon Drake, 5,200. I like. It's again San Fran, but I like the Cardinals' offense to put up points. You have his other running back mate, Chase Edmonds, be listed as questionable for this one. So if he happens to miss, you're going to see Kenyon Drake take on a lot bigger work in the receiving game. He can also get you like 15 to 20 touches. If Edmonds happens to miss, it'd probably go up to like 20, 25. So keep an eye on Kenyon Drake. 5,200 is pretty affordable for him. We'll keep an eye on Edmonds and his status. And another running back to consider is going to be Jeff Wilson at 5K flat. It's against Arizona. He is going to be the number one guy because Raheem Mostert's season is done with his another high ankle injury. He's a really good running back. He can break off some big plays, be a factor in the red zone. So also catch a few passes out of the backfield. He looks solid. I think he's going to try to make the most of his opportunity the last 2 weeks and expect him to work really hard. Wide receiver, Hopkins is the play you probably want if there's nobody else to pay up for. You have Ayuk against Arizona, but they're also getting Kittle back, so it's one less. Ayuk still is the number one guy, but it might be like 1A, 1B sort of thing. Although they did say Kittle is going to be on a snap count, so nobody really knows how much work he's going to get. But I like Hopkins at 83. I think just you can easily fit him in with the value that we have at running back, and going with like a cheap quarterback like Derek Carr. Even though I don't like Stafford, I think I like Marvin Jones at 4,900. They have really just Marvin Jones has just been super consistent for the most part this season. They haven't had Kenny Galladay for like the entire season. Played a little bit in the beginning, but he's just been out last like 12 weeks. So you see Marvin Jones really emerge last three out of last 4 weeks. He's gotten 12 targets, which is just awesome for a $4,900 wide receiver against Tampa in that bad secondary. Sign me up for that. I think he's in for another solid game. Other wide receivers to consider, I like Nelson Aguilar at 4,500. I like Antonio Brown at 53. Godwin at 6,000. And then depending on the Miami news, you could look to Bowden Jr. You could look to Chris Kirk at 38. Lots of viable options, but I like Marvin Jones the most in that cheap range. And then tight end, go with Darren Waller. Do it with another Darren Waller. Derek Carr stack. Waller at 7K is just the tight end that has the highest ceiling on the slate. Kittle is in that category, but they said he's going to be on snap count. So, and they're not playing for anything, so I don't see him coming out and playing 90% snaps like Waller will. So I like Waller a little bit, even though Kittle's only 5K, but I just a little bit worried about his workload. So these are the core pieces for the DraftKings slate. Pretty solid, I think. We'll go ahead and touch on Fanduel, look at their pricing pretty quickly. All right, Fanduel is pretty similar to DraftKings in terms of the guys that I like. Quarterback, you have Murray at 87, then Brady. You have Derek Carr, super cheap at just 7K, so I will be going with Derek Carr again just because he allows me to pay up at wide receiver for Hopkins and get Darren Waller in there. Feel good about my running backs and other wide receivers. Speaking of running back, on FanDuel, you have Josh Jacobs at 76. He's a little bit behind some of the other cheaper guys just based on salary reasons. Like, I love Gaskin at 66. I like Jeff Wilson a lot. I like Kenyon Drake still at 65. Wide receiver, Hopkins, just not going to fade him because he's the type of guy that can just absolutely kill you on a 3-gamer if you fade him. And there's no other wide receiver that will command as much like attention than Hopkins does. Ayuk looks solid, but he's only $900 cheaper than Hopkins. I'm not going to be able to get both of them in there. So I'll rather go with Hopkins. I love Marvin Jones still on FanDuel at 68. And I think Antonio Brown is in for a nice game at 66. He's $600 cheaper than Godwin, almost $900 cheaper than Evans. Had a long touchdown grab last week. He's still not playing as much snaps as the other two, but he's been solid in getting targets and finally got a touchdown grab from Brady. It's a really, really good spot. Like, they should crush here, and I could see Brown maybe breaking off another long touchdown grab. And he's only 66, so he's not like it's not like you need him to go nuts. Even if he has a decent game, you'll be fine. But there's a chance he just goes off here in the mid of 6K range. Aguilar is another guy to consider at 58. And then tight end is Darren Waller, really the top priority, followed by Kittle, Hockenson, then Gronk. And defenses, Cardinals are the top defense because Mullins will turn the football over once, if not twice, like he does every single week. Buccaneers are another good defense option at 4,200. And yeah, those are the two defenses I'm considering. And that should about do it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and best of luck today.